Okay. Hi guys, good morning. Are you guys there?
Good morning, sir.
Yeah. So I think we started with a little new concept for you last class. I think it was theory of hybridization, isn't it? Right. So I would say it is like, can you imagine that this theory of hybridization is actually an extension of valence bond theory, isn't it? Right. So can you tell me just one or two differences between valence bond theory and the theory of hybridization, guys? What is the main difference between valence bond theory and theory of hybridization? We saw so many things last class. Do you remember? Okay, tell me what and all you remember about theory of hybridization. Bring it on. Guys.
The central orbitals are the hybrid orbitals.
Okay, fine. Everybody should contribute, right? So everybody, whatever you know regarding hybridization, please bring it on, right? Okay, so now Rohan said it is for the central atom we talk about hybridization. Yes, okay.
Then the hybrid orbitals overlap with the side orbitals of the atom.
Okay, cool. So here the overlap is going to happen just like how we saw in your valence bond theory, right? So there the orbitals are going to be, I mean, let's say the overlapping is going to be between pure atomic orbitals. The central atom and the side atoms will have overlapping of their orbitals, pure atomic orbitals, right? But here the especially for the sigma bond, right? The overlap is going to be between the central atoms is hybrid orbitals and the bonding atom, that is the side atoms, is pure atomic orbitals. That is how the overlap is going to happen. Okay, next.
The number of atomic orbitals combining is always equal to the number of hybrid orbitals formed.
Very good, very good. So, right, so that's one of the points. So the number of hybrid orbitals is equal to, that is the number of hybrid orbitals formed. I obviously told you that the hybrid orbitals are formed by mixing two or more atomic orbitals, right? Two or more atomic orbitals will combine together to form a hybrid orbital, and the number of atomic orbitals combining should be equal to the number of hybrid orbitals formed. Yes, a very good point. Okay, next. What else?
We saw even types of hybridization.
Okay, can you just come up with it? What are the types?
S plus P, you get 2sp.
That is two numbers of sp. Okay, correct.
In S plus two numbers of P, you get 3s and 2p.
No, okay. So, okay, we'll just write down the hybridizations. It's sp, sp2, sp3, sp3d, sp3d2, and sp3d3. So all these are the hybridizations, right? So obviously the numbers of these hybridized orbitals, I will be able to tell it from this itself. So I have one s and one p combining. So there'll be two numbers of this, three numbers of this, four numbers of this, 5, 6, and 7 numbers of sp3d3 hybrid orbitals. Okay, good. Okay, next. What other things? So what about sigma and pi bonds here? How the overlap here is happening?
In sigma bonds, it can be hybrid and pure orbitals can overlap. But in pi bond, only the pure orbitals will overlap.
Exactly, right? For sigma bonds, the overlap is going to be between the hybrid orbitals of central atom and the bonding atoms of the side atoms is orbit or the pure atomic orbitals. But if I go for pi bonds, here it is considered that Only the pure atomic orbitals are going to be overlapping to form a pi bond. That is one of the points. What about lone pairs on the central atom? Where should I place it?
It must be then the hybrid orbitals.
Exactly. So we are talking about lone pairs on the central atom, right? Now they should be placed in the hybrid orbitals. I'm not talking about the lone pairs on the side atoms. No, that we don't even care, right? Okay. So I think these are all the things we saw last class, isn't it? Right. So I concluded that I'll be giving you a trick, right, to find out what will be the hybridization, right, for the particular molecule. And we'll try to visualize how exactly this hybridization is happening. All these things we'll see now, right? Okay, cool. So we'll see what is happening. So what about if you have a confusion between which to choose as a central atom, what will you do?
We choose the one with least ionization enthalpy.
Exactly, right? So whenever you have a confusion, right, say for example, HCN kind of molecules, if you have, you are going to choose the central atom which is going to have the least ionization enthalpy. And the reason is very simple, sir, because I have less ionization enthalpy, easily this central atom will be able to share its electron pairs with the bonding atoms. Okay, cool, right? So now, how will we find the hybridization is the question, right? For the central atom in a molecule, right? How will we find the hybridization? So I'm going to give you a trick, right? But in your school, you are not going to use this trick. You are going to act as if you don't know any tricks and you're going to get the answer. Now, are you able to understand what I'm telling, right? So I will be giving you the bigger step as well as the shortcut. So you do the bigger step. Actually, you first do the shortcut and get the hybridization, okay? And then you show in your paper as if you are deriving the hybridization in your school exams, I'm telling. Okay, then you can cross check between the shortcut and the answer which you got. You will be able to cross check, and that's it. That's the easiest way to go about it. Okay, right, fine. So there is one number. There is one number which is going to help us find the hybridization. Okay, so that number is what is called as my steric number. Right? So this number is what is called as steric number. So it's a very simple formula, right? With this formula, you will be able to find what is the hybridization. Okay. So this steric number is equal to number of atoms bonded to the central atom. This is the first component, right? Plus the number of lone pairs in the central atom. Very, very simple formula, right? So look at the formula. Number of atoms bonded to the central atom plus number of lone pairs present in the central atom. Okay, see, we are speaking only about the central atom. We are not speaking at all about the bonding atoms. Obviously, we are speaking here, like the number of atoms bonded to the central atom. Okay, fine. So let me use this. Okay, and with the help of the steric number, how the steric number will come, accordingly, the hybridization will vary. Okay, so this steric number is also equal to the number of hybrid orbitals formed, and obviously it is going to be equal to what? The number of atomic orbitals combining, right? For example, if you find the steric number value to be, for example, 2, if you find the steric number value to be 2, for example, can you tell me what will be the hybridization? Look at this. I told you that the steric number is equal to the number of hybrid orbitals formed, and it is also equal to the number of atomic orbitals combining. Correct? So if, for example, I find that the steric number value is 2 for a particular molecule, what will be the hybridization of the molecule? Where do you have 2 atomic orbitals combining? So if I say the steric number is 2, that means what? That means 2 atomic orbitals are combining, and so 2 hybrid orbitals are formed. So where do you see that happening?
In S plus.
Exactly, in sp hybridization. So whenever you find the steric number value as 2, that corresponds to sp. hybridization. Whenever you find it as 3, it is going to be sp2, 4 sp3, 5 sp3d, 6 sp3d2, and last 7 sp3d3. Okay, so I'm telling you, depending on the value of the steric number, these will be the type of hybridization. Okay, so fine. I'm just telling you this thing. We'll see a lot of examples. Do not worry. Okay, fine. So depending on steric number values, this will be the hybridizations. Very easy, right? So 2 means 2, S plus P. 3 means S plus 2P, 3. 4 means S plus 3P, 4. Understood, right? Cool. So this you have to remember. Now this formula is very important, right? So we'll look into it. We'll take some examples and we'll see whether this works or not. Okay, fine. Cool. So guys, this is taken down. Can I rub this part?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Cool. Okay. So let me take some simple molecules. Okay. Say I take carbon dioxide, CO2. Okay. So I know the central atom here is carbon. Okay. Central atom here is carbon. And guys, please remember, inside the hybrid orbitals, pi electrons should not be there. I told you, pi bond, how is it formed? Pi bond is formed by the pure atomic orbital of central atom with the pure atomic orbital of the side atom, isn't it? So whenever you are going to make the hybridization, you have to make sure that if at all I have pi bonds, and obviously pi bonds will have pi electrons, those should not be inside the hybrid orbitals. That you have to make sure. Anyways, we'll see. Okay, so carbon is my central atom. Okay, so let me use the formula, right? So formula steric number S is equal to, what is the first component? Number of atoms bonded to the central atom. How many? How many atoms are bonded to the central atom? Central atom here is carbon. To carbon, how many other atoms are bonded? How many?
Oxygen also, sir.
See, I'm talking. What is the formula? It is the number of atoms bonded to the central atom. What is central atom here? Carbon. To carbon, how many other atoms are attached?
Totally 4, sir.
2. Totally 4. How 4?
Carbon dioxide, sir. So CO2. So 4.
Exactly. So I have one carbon atom. To the carbon atom, how many oxygen atoms are attached? 2 oxygen atoms are attached.
Okay, sir.
Are you able to understand?
Yes, sir.
Right? So the thing is, I have the central atom to be carbon. To the central atom, how many other atoms are attached? I have 2 oxygen atoms attached. No problem. So this steric number, the first component here is the number of bonding atoms, that is 2, right? Now what is the next component? Next component is number of lone pairs on the central atom. Again and again I'm repeating, it is the number of lone pairs on the central atom. Do I have any lone pair on central atom here?
No, sir.
Okay, so for this you need to know how to draw the Lewis-Strauss structures. If you draw the Lewis-Strauss structures, easily you will be able to tell whether I have any lone pair on any of the central atom. Now in this case, I'll know how the structure will look. Basically, carbon dioxide will have this thing like this, bonding structure like this, isn't it? So I have 4 electrons, 4 valence electrons in carbon, isn't it? There are 4 valence electrons in carbon, and you can see all 4 of them are actually involved in bonding, isn't it? Say 1 electron here, another electron here, 1 electron here, another electron here, 1 electron here, another electron, 1 electron, another electron. So the cross marks represents the valence electrons of carbon. There are 4 valence electrons, and all the 4 valence electrons are involving in the bonding. Okay, right? And obviously there is no lone pair, correct? So 2 plus 0, there are no lone pairs on the carbon atom. So obviously the steric number is 2. What will be the hybridization? What will be the hybridization?
sp2.
sp, that's it. sp hybridized orbitals are there for carbon. Okay, we'll do one more example. Right. Say I have ammonia, NH3. Okay, fine. The first component, number of atoms bonded to the central atom. Central atom here is nitrogen. How many other atoms are bonded to nitrogen?
3.
Three hydrogen atoms are there. Okay, so how many lone pairs on nitrogen? And the second component is number of lone pairs on the central atom. Lone pair on nitrogen is what I have to look. So what is it? So finding number of lone pairs is little this thing, but if you're very confident with your Lewis-Strauss structures, it's very simple. Now I'll give you a trick also for that, right? So other than oxygen, right? Other than oxygen, if you find like say, for example, hydrogen, your halogens, all these things, if you see as bonding atoms, right? All these, if you see as bonding atoms, they will definitely only have one single bond. They will not, there is no possibility of going for a double bond. The possibility of double bond will come only when I have oxygen, right? The possibility of double bond will come only when I have oxygen. Okay. So in this case, how will I go about without even drawing the Lewis-Strauss structures? How will I know whether lone pair is there on the nitrogen? It's very simple. Nitrogen has how
5
many?
minus 3.
Exactly, right? So nitrogen has 5 valence electrons. 2, 5 is the configuration, right? And I know there are 3 hydrogen atoms, so they will have 3 sigma bonds. No problem, right? So can I say out of these 5 electrons which are there in the valence shell, 3 of these electrons from the nitrogen are involving in bonding. 3 of the electrons in nitrogen are involving in bonding. So how many electrons are still left in the valence shell without bonding?
2.
Totally 5. 3 are bonding. So obviously 2 electrons are left. So how many lone pairs?
1 lone pair.
1 lone pair. Very good. So I have 1 lone pair. This is the bonding atoms. This is my lone pair. So totally 4. What will be the hybridization?
sp3.
sp3. Yeah. Look at this. Yeah, correct. sp3 is correct. Yes. Right. So sp3 is the hybridization. Very good. Very good. Okay. One more example. Say I have BF3, boron trifluoride. I'm not going to help you. You are going to tell me what is the hybridization. Or wait, let me make it more interesting. I'll ask somebody. Can I ask? Okay, Venisha, are you there, Kana? Venisha?
Yes, sir.
Kana, can you tell me what will be the hybridization here? Okay, we'll go step by step. Okay, so steric number is equal to. Okay, what is the first component here, Kana, Venisha?
Sir, your video is paused, sir.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Now is it fine?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Cool. So the steric number, Venisha. So tell me what is the steric number here? First component is bonding atoms. How many bonding atoms are there?
Two bonding atoms.
So
Two bonding atoms.
I'm not able to hear, Kana.
Two bonding atoms.
2 bonding atoms. How 2 bonding atoms? How, say, okay, first, what is the central atom here?
S3.
I'm asking, what is the central atom in this molecule? I have 2 types of atoms here, isn't it? One boron, and there are 3 fluorine atoms. Out of fluorine and boron, which is the central atom?
Boron.
Very good, very good. Okay. So what is the formula for steric number? It is the number of atoms bonded to the central atom. Central atom is boron. To boron, how many other atoms are bonded?
3.
Very good, super. So there are 3 bonding atoms. Okay. So Kana, Venisha, do I have any lone pairs on boron? What is the atomic number of boron, Venisha? Atomic number of boron?
5, sir.
Very good. So what will be the electronic configuration?
One is to 2 is to
No. Tell me in the normal K-shell, L-shell.
4
Right,
to
2 comma
2, 1.
there are 5. You told only 3. There are 5 atomic numbers. So what will be the configuration? 2 comma number of electrons is 5. So first shell will have 2. Second shell will have, how many is left?
3.
Very good. So 2 comma 3 is the configuration. Very good. So now, if there are 3 valence electrons, can I, okay, how many sigma bonds, okay, how many bonds will be there between boron and fluorine here? How many bonds are there between boron and fluorine here? Manisha? I think there's some problem. Okay, guys. So what will be the number of lone pairs on boron here?
0, sir.
Very good, right? So I have three valence electrons. 2 comma 3 is the configuration for boron, and obviously there are 3 sigma bonds. So all these 3 electrons will involve in bonding, right? So there are no lone pairs. So 3 plus 0 is 3. What will be the hybridization? Sorry?
sp2.
Yes, it's sp2. Very good, very good. One more example. We'll see whether you answer this. Okay. I have H2O. I want to know what is the hybridization for oxygen. Okay. So let me ask Abhishek. Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Kana. So can you just go about it? First, steric number. What is the first component? Number of atoms bonded to the central atom. How many?
2, sir.
Good. There are 2 hydrogen atoms. Very good. Okay. Number of lone pairs on oxygen. Take your time. Okay. Just go by the logic. How many valence electrons? In that, how many are involving in bonding? And so the number of lone pairs.
1, sir.
1, no? Okay. We'll try to calculate it. Totally, what is the atomic number of oxygen, Abhishek?
8, sir.
Very good. 8. So what will be the configuration?
2, 6, sir.
2 comma 6. Okay. So there are 6 valence electrons. Out of them, how many are involving in bonding here with hydrogen? There are 2 OH bonds. So how many electrons are involved in from oxygen?
1, sir.
Like, look at this. I have OHH. This is the structure.
Sir, again, your video is
Video is paused. I understand. Okay. So I have OHH. HOH. Okay. So you told me, so okay, this is 1 electron coming from oxygen, another electron coming from hydrogen. 1 electron coming from oxygen, another electron coming from hydrogen. How many electrons now?
2.
2 electrons are involving in bonding. Okay. Now how many lone pairs will be there?
6, sir.
Totally 6 valence electrons. Out of them, 2 are involving in bonding.
4.
There are 4 electrons which are not involving in bonding. So how many lone pairs?
2, sir.
Exactly. Right. So 2 plus 2. So there are 2 bonding atoms, 2 hydrogen atoms. And you know that there are going to be 2 lone pairs on oxygen. So 2 plus 2 will become 4. What is the hybridization? Abhishek?
Sir.
What is the hybridization if I have 4 as a steric number?
Sir, yes.
You don't have to even like look at the table which I gave you. You can just logically answer. Where will I have 4 atomic orbitals combined?
sp2, sir.
Sorry? Guys,
sp3, sir.
Yeah, it is sp3. Say 3 p orbitals and 1 s orbital, making it 4.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Okay, one more example. Okay, I have beryllium chloride, BeCl2. Okay, now whom should I ask? Divya, are you ready? Divya?
Yes, sir.
Kana. Can you tell me? So first, steric number. What is
Yes,
the
sir.
number of bonding atoms? Good. Or number of lone pairs? Again, go by the logic. No atomic number, right electronic configuration, valence
Sir.
electrons. Sorry?
Is it 2, sir?
You're telling the number of lone pairs on beryllium is 2.
Yes, sir.
Okay, we'll again start. What is the atomic number of beryllium?
4.
4. What is the configuration?
2,
Electronic.
2, 2.
Very good. 2, 2. Okay,
0, sir.
So basically, yes, 0. Right? So there are 2 valence electrons, right? And out of them, both of the valence electrons are involving in bonding with your fluorine. Right? So obviously, no electrons are there in lone pairs, so done. So 2 plus 0 is 2. So what is the hybridization?
Yes, sir.
Very good, Divya. Okay, fine. Okay. Now for Rohan, you are getting
Sir.
this. You are getting XCF4, xenon fluoride, XCF4, right? Tell me, what will be the steric number? Bonding atoms?
4, sir.
Okay. Lone pairs?
One minute, sir. I'll calculate.
Yeah. Okay. Like xenon belongs to noble gas family, right? So you don't even have to calculate. What is the number
0,
of valence
sir.
electrons? 0. What is the number of valence electrons on noble gas?
8, sir.
8. Okay. So how many are involving in bonding?
4. So 4, 2 lone pairs will be there, sir.
Correct. Exactly. So 4 plus 2 becomes 6. What is hybridization?
P3D2.
Okay, so it's sp3d2. Correct. Yeah. Okay, so it's sp3d2. So 2 plus 3, 5, 5 plus 1, 6. sp3d2. Very good, Rohan. Right? So guys, everybody understood? Or wait. I think you have to find the number of lone pairs. I'll give XCO2F2. Okay, so I will ask now. Whom should I ask? Shruti, are you ready, Kanna?
Yes, sir.
Okay, tell me, steric number. First, number of bonding atoms. How many?
4.
4. Very good. 2 oxygen atoms, 2 fluorine atoms. Very good. Okay. Number of lone pairs. Here is going to be a little tricky because you're going to have oxygen atoms. I told you, remember, whenever oxygen atom comes, there is going to be a double bond.
Double bond.
Now tell me.
1, sir.
1 lone pair. Okay. So fine. So what I can understand is there are 8 valence electrons in xenon, fully filled configuration. So can I say 2 of them are going to fluorine because there's a single bond. Okay. How many will go to oxygen? There are 2 oxygen atoms. Each oxygen atom will have 2 electrons. Basically, the bonding will be totally 4 electrons, 2 coming from oxygen, 2 coming from what is that? Xenon, right? So it's like this. So basically, one double bond O, one double bond O, one electron here, one electron here, one electron here, one electron here. So totally how many electrons are going to oxygen?
4 electrons.
4 electrons are going for oxygen. So 4 plus 2 is 6. Yes, one lone pair. Your answer is correct, Anna. Right? 4 plus 2 is 6. 2 more electrons are left out. So obviously there is one lone pair. Will become 5. What is the hybridization, Shruti?
sp3d.
Yes, very good. sp3d. Okay, so like this, any compound given to you, you will be able to tell what is the hybridization just like that. But you have to know atomic numbers, you have to know the electronic configuration, you have to know how many are involved in bonding, how many, and also how many lone pairs. If you know this, done, set. So you can understand how the basics of from where we started, imagine from chemical bonding and where we are now. So if at all you are not going to evolve with the concepts, it's actually going to be difficult. You have to start studying first Lewis concepts, like draw the Lewis dot structures and get to know. Now only if you draw the Lewis dot structure, you will get to know how many lone pairs are there. All these things are very, 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 very important. Okay, fine. So now, so you know that hybridization is like this. Everything we know by shortcuts we know. Now we'll go directly deep into it. We'll so go to the orbitals and we'll see how these hybrid orbitals are formed. Okay, right. Okay, fine. Now I'm going to take some what to say. I'm going to go with steric number flow. Okay, so let me start with steric number 2. Obviously, I know steric number 2 means what will be the hybridization?
sp
hybridization. Okay, let me take some molecules and see how exactly sp hybridization is happening. Okay, fine. So like I saw one example for, or I'll take the very easy example, beryllium chloride. Okay, or before this, I will start representing molecules like this. So in steric number 2, one of the the only possibility is A, B, 2, where A is the central atom and B is the bonding atom. So obviously I know the steric number is 2. 2 bonding atoms, no lone pairs. If I have lone pair, I will represent by a L. Okay, if I have a lone pair, I will represent by L. So now for now there are no lone pairs. Okay, so I'll take an example. I'll take beryllium chloride. Okay, so now we'll speak in for beryllium. I know it is sp, but we're going to prove that it is sp. Okay, so I know for beryllium the configuration is 1s2, 2s2, and 2p0. Correct? Because why am I taking 2p also? Because I have the second shell. In second shell, I have the electron. 2p is there, but it's just empty. That's it.
Okay, sir.
Okay, right? Okay, so in 2s, I have 2 electrons, and in 2p, I have no electron. No problem. Now, if this molecule, if I study it in your VBT, if I study it in your valence bond theory, according to valence bond theory, beryllium cannot even form any compounds, isn't it? According to VBT, beryllium will not form any compounds. Why? Because in VBT, what it says, the unpaired electrons in the valence shell will come together. They get paired by overlapping of orbitals to form a sigma bond. Here, do I have any unpaired electron?
No.
Exactly. So this is where your theory of hybridization is little higher version of that. So what we are going to do is that we are going to make the electron, one of the electron which are paired, to go to the excited state. What do you mean by excited state? When I say excited, this is the ground state configuration when it is stable. Okay. So when I say excited state, wherever the electron should be, it is not there. That electron is there in the next shell, or say next subshell, or next orbital. That is what is the excited. So this is my ground state configuration. GS represents ground state configuration. So if I go to the excited state, okay, if I go to the excited, oh my God, guys, I think, give me a second. I think my earphones are going to die off. I'll just, 1 minute.
Sir, we are not able to hear your voice, sir.
Sir, we can't hear your voice.
Sir, we can't hear you.
Okay, Kana, are you able to hear now? Is everything okay? Okay. Okay. So what I was telling, guys, can you just say something? I'll just check whether I am
Yes,
able.
sir.
Cool. Thank you. So in the excited state, so this is the ground state. 2 electrons are there in 2s alone. Okay. So now I have what is that? In 2s I have 1 electron, and I have shifted the next electron to 2p excited state. Okay. Right. So now what I'm going to do is, you already know it is going to have sp hybridization. Right? So you can easily see there is one s orbital, there is one p orbital. They are going to mix together. They are going to mix together to form 2 numbers of sp hybridized orbital. So look at this. I have 2 numbers of sp hybridized orbital, 1s and 1p. Right? So I have 1 electron here, another electron here. Now I can go back to VBT. What it says now in theory of hybridization, it says that the hybridized orbitals will overlap with the pure atomic orbitals of the bonding atom to form a sigma bond. Sorry, to form a covalent bond, sigma bond, obviously. Right? So here I have 1 electron. Sp hybrid orbitals will come. There are 1 chlorine atom which are having electrons in the p orbital, so they will come together to form a bond. Same goes with this sp hybridized orbital also. This will come, chlorine will come, get overlapped to form a sigma bond. So I'll tell you that there is going to be 1 more electron. Now this are going to get paired. So from chlorine, I'm going to get 1 more electron. Again, from another chlorine, I'm going to get 1 more electron. So you will see that De, or I'll write here Be, Cl, Cl. So I'm going to have a bond formed like this. Guys, everybody understood what happened here? So first thing what you're going to do is, wherever you have paired electrons in the valence shell, you make them unpaired. Make it go to the excited state. Okay. After doing that, that's it. So you form, now you know what is the hybridization. It is S and P. So one S and one P will mix together. Okay. So they will mix together to form 2 numbers. Again, a number of atomic orbitals combining should be equal to number of hybrid orbitals formed. So 2 sps are formed, each with 1 electron. Now there is chlorine atom, which is going to give 1 electron to each of these sp hybridized orbital. So 2 sigma bonds are formed. Okay, is everything clear, guys? Any doubts?
Okay, sir. Clear, sir.
Okay, fine. We'll see more example for sp itself. Okay, so please take this down. See, this is how you have to answer in the examination. You have to show this. Basically, you should not tell that steric number is 2 is sp hybridized. No, you are going to do it in the sides. Like even you can rub it, do it in the pencil and rub it off. Know the hybridization. Okay. Then what you do is, you write beryllium chloride. You write the beryllium chloride's electronic configuration. Then the ground state in the valence shell, excited state in the valence shell. Show the hybridization like this, mark it S and P, then show 2 numbers of sp hybridized orbital, then say chlorine is giving 2 more, done. This is how you have to explain in your school. Okay, fine. We'll do more examples. Hope you have taken this down. Have you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, so next what we'll do is, we'll take 1 more example, again AB2 only, right? So let me take the example of carbon dioxide. Yes, no lone pairs, 2 oxygen atoms, 2 bonding atoms, right? What is the time? We have time. Cool. So this is going to happen, right? So now we'll see how carbon is sp hybridized. We know the hybridization is sp. That is understood, right? Okay. So for carbon, I know is going to have 1s2, 2s2, 2p2. Okay, right. Say now in 2s, I have 2 electrons. In 2p, I have 2 electrons. See, please remember Hund's rule, all these things, how we are going to fill the electrons in p orbitals. Now this is my ground state configuration, right? So if I go to the exercise, what should I do? I should shift the paired electron in s to the empty orbital of p. Obviously, I cannot shift it to the next orbital because already electrons are there, right? So wherever the orbital is empty, to that orbital, I will shift the paired electron. So in the excited state, you will see that. So this is my 2s, this is my 2p, same here, 1 electron here, and 3 electrons here. No problem. Okay, fine. Now I have what hybridization? I have sp hybridization, isn't it? I have sp hybridization. So I will take 1 s orbital, 1 p orbital, done. I will take 1 s orbital, 1 p orbital, done. So you will have 2 numbers of sp hybridized orbital, right? Obviously, oxygen atom is going to give 1 more electron. Oxygen atom. Okay, wait. So these 2 are my sp hybridized orbitals. 2 numbers of sp hybridized orbital. So now 2 oxygen atoms are there. So 2 sigma bonds are going to get formed. So 1 oxygen atom will give an electron. Another oxygen atom will give another electron. So this is done. 2 sigma bonds are done. But what we have to account for still? What is still missing there?
2 more electrons, double bond.
2 more bonds are missing. Basically, the pi bonds are missing, isn't it?
Sir.
So the carbon oxygen bond, pi bond, carbon oxygen, another pi bond is missing still. So we have to account for it. So how will we account for it? I already told you the sigma bonds are the only one which will have hybridization, right? Whenever you have pi electrons, the electrons which are going to involve in the pi bond has to be put outside the hybridization. So you can see here, you have 1s and 1p done, right? Now look at this. I still have 2 more unpaired electrons. That is in this and this. You can see, I can even mark it if you want. So this electron and this electron are still unpaired. So they have to get paired, right? So how will they get paired? Now they will get paired with the overlapping of these 2 pure atomic orbitals with the pure atomic orbital of oxygen. Because I told you, pi bonds will have pure atomic overlap. Sigma bonds will have hybrid overlap. I mean, hybrid orbitals and atomic orbital overlapping, right? So these 2 are pi bonds now. So how will I be able to mark it? I will be able to mark it like this. So there is 1 electron. There is another electron in carbon. Okay, p orbital. These are the p orbitals having 1 electron. Okay. Now oxygen atom also will have, this oxygen atom will have 1 electron. This oxygen atom will have 1 electron, unpaired electron, done. Right now, what is going to happen? This and this are going to laterally overlap. This and this are going to laterally overlap. And this are going to laterally overlap. So you will see that I have this kind of structure. Can you see? Right? So these 2 are overlapping, these 2 are overlapping, a bond is formed, a bond is formed. You guys understood? How will you account for pi bonds in the molecule? We will see a lot of examples, don't worry, but did you get this is the question?
Yes,
Guys,
sir.
everybody has to give me a yes if you understood.
I have a doubt, sir, though. One
Yes,
doubt. In
yes.
exams, sir, when we can show the hybridization, then for showing how a double bond is formed, we have to write in statements, sir, that the remaining 2 electrons.
Yeah, the remaining 2 electrons are there in the pure atomic orbitals. They will overlap with the pure atomic orbital of the bonding atom to form the pi bond. And you can show the diagram also like this.
Okay, sir.
Done. Right? Okay. So we'll take, so that's about, do we have any other example? Yes, we have example. You have a beautiful example of alkynes. right? Alkynes, you know, I'm going to have C triple bond C. You have studied in your, what is it? Carbon and its compounds in your 10th class, isn't it? So we'll take that. So please take this down first. Again, very important, take these diagrams properly. And yeah, so I was asking. So guys, everybody understood, please give me a yes.
Yes, sir.
What about others?
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay, cool. Nice, fine. So now we'll take one more example for steric number 2 with sp hybridization. Okay, so let me take ethyne. Again, it's basically it's steric number 2, sp hybridization. I'm taking the example of the types of molecule AB2. So now I'm going to take C2H4. Look at this, right? So you have 2 carbon atoms and 4 hydrogen atoms. Okay, so we look into it. So guys, how will you draw the structure? This is ethyne, right? CnH2n. Right, CnH2n. Hope you remember general formula for alkynes, right? So it's CnH2n. So please draw structure in your notebooks. I'll also draw here. Draw the structure in the sense the bondings and all that. So I'll give you 10 seconds. Quickly do it, and then cross check whether what I'm writing here and what you're writing there is correct or not.
Done, sir.
Okay, so done. So you will have structure like this. Yes, how many of you got this?
Yes, sir.
Okay, everybody almost would have got. If you didn't get, that means you didn't study 10th properly. That's what is understood. Okay, so this is my alkyne. C triple bond C is here. Okay, so whenever these kind of things comes, right? See, we are obviously central atom is carbon. That is understood, right? But there are 2 carbon atoms here, isn't it? There are 2 carbon atoms here. So sir, how will I do it? Nothing. Just take any one of the carbon atom. Both these carbon atoms are going to have same hybridization. So you don't have to worry about it. Either I can take this carbon atom and check, or I can take this carbon atom and check. It's very much understood that both of them are going to be equivalent. Okay. Now, how will I calculate EP, or say how will I calculate the steric number here? Right, for this carbon atom, how many other bonding atoms are there? To this carbon atom, how many other bonding atoms are attached to this carbon atom?
3.
How 3?
2, sir.
2? Is it not? There is 1 carbon atom here, there is 1 hydrogen atom here. That's it. Number of bonding atoms attached to the central atom. How many are attached to central atom? There is 1 carbon atom, 1 hydrogen atom. That's it. Again, if I take for this carbon atom, again this carbon atom and this hydrogen atoms are attached. So either way, both of these carbon atoms, there are 2 bonding atoms, and obviously no lone pair. How no lone pair? 4 valence electrons, 1, 2, 3 for the triple bond, and 1 electron here. Totally 4. There are no lone pairs. Again, I tell you if you want. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. All the 4 electrons are involving in bonding. So there is no lone pair. So 2 plus 0 is 2. So obviously I'm going to have sp hybridization. Okay. So guys, now again I have to account for the pi bonds also here, because obviously you can see that between carbon there is 1 sigma bond and 2 pi bonds. Okay, fine. So now let me go into it. So again, carbon is going to have 1s2, 2s2, 2p2. So done. Okay, so now this is my ground state. Now if I go to the excited state, 1 electron in 2s, 3 electrons in 2p. So this electron has gone to that carbon atom, that orbital. Okay. So now what is the hybridization? I already found out the hybridization to be sp hybridization. Okay, sp hybridization. So now if I go for 2 numbers of sp hybridized orbitals, 1 electron each it's having. right? So here the bonding atoms are a little different. Last time what you saw is, say, one electron will come from chlorine, another electron also coming from chlorine, but there are two different bonding atoms here. One is carbon atom, another one is hydrogen atom, but still the concept is same. So from the carbon atom, one more electron, sigma bond is formed, and from the hydrogen atom, one more electron will form this. So if I take this carbon atom, so for this carbon atom, one sigma bond with carbon, one sigma bond with hydrogen is done. Okay, so for this carbon atom, I have to account for what? I have to account for two more pi bonds between this carbon atom and this carbon atom. Isn't it? Between this carbon atom and this carbon atom, you can see that there is a pi bond, two pi bonds are there. So that I have to account for. I can easily account for it. You can see that there are two more unpaired electron even after hybridization. Isn't it? These two electrons which I'm talking about, this and this, right? So I can see that there are two more unpaired electrons. So how will I go about it? Is like this, right? So I would have had one electron in the p orbital, another electron in the p orbital. Same goes with that carbon atom also. For that carbon atom also, same thing would have happened. sp hybridization. There'll be two more unpaired electrons for that carbon atom also, right? Say now again, p orbitals, pure p orbitals are there. So now they will come together like this, lateral overlap. They will come together like this, lateral overlap. Now a proper bond is formed. So if I rewrite this, carbon, hydrogen, done. So now I already had a sigma bond between these two carbon atoms. Now these two will overlap and the bottom two will overlap to form a pi bond between the carbon atoms. Understood how we are accounting for the pi bonds?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the thing is, guys, I'll write a note. Take down the note. So the note says the number of pi bonds in the molecule, the number of pi bonds in a molecule is equal to the number of pi bonds in a molecule is equal to the number of unpaired electrons is equal to the number of unpaired electrons after hybridization. Number of unpaired electrons after hybridization. Okay, so the number of pi bonds in a molecule is equal to the number of unpaired electrons after hybridization. So, like, is it not logical? Looking at this, say the hybridization is over. 1s and 1p are over, right? After that, how many unpaired electrons I have? There are two unpaired electrons. So definitely there are going to be two pi bonds. That's what is given in the statement there. After the hybridization, how many ever unpaired electron you have, that many pi bonds. In this case, there are two unpaired electrons. Obviously, there are going to be two pi bonds in this molecule. Okay, right? Cool. So what is the time? We are almost done. So guys, so yes, you understood, everybody understood how the hybridization is happening. We'll see a lot of more examples, do not worry. But now what I'm concentrating on is what will be the shape of this molecule, right? What will be the shape of this molecule? So I told you, when I started theory of hybridization itself, I will be studying theory of hybridization parallelly with something called as VSEPR. Do you remember?
Sure.
Right, I told you that they will be studying them parallelly. Theory of hybridization is all of these, no problem. Right, but if I combine that with your VSEPR, I am actually going to get out the shapes. Okay, so I'll just give you an introduction to VSEPR, then wind up the class. Okay, so we are going to talk about VSEPR theory. That is valence shell electron repulsion theory. This is the full form. Valence shell electron repulsion theory. Okay, fine. So guys, so this is actually going to talk about the shape of the orbitals, and it is going to depend upon the repulsion, as the name tells you. It is the shape of the orbitals according to VSEPR is actually going to depend upon the repulsions which are going to exist between the electrons in the valence shell. Obviously after the bonding. Even after the bonding, the valence shell now will be categorized. Valence shell electrons will be now categorized into two types, isn't it? One involving in bond, another not involving in bond in the form of lone pairs. There are two types of electrons in the valence shell of the central atom, isn't it? What are they? One in the bond pairs, that is one involving in bonding, and the other which is not involving in bonding but still in the valence shell, and that is obviously my lone pairs. Okay, so we are going to take the shape out with the help of these repulsion between bond pairs and lone pairs. So I can have three types of interactions, three types of repulsions, isn't it? What are the three types of repulsion? Can I say the first type of repulsion can be between the bond pair and bond pair itself? That means, like, say this thing between these two. This is one bond pair, this is another bond pair. I can have repulsion between these two. Okay. Next kind of this thing I can have. If at all I have a lone pair, if at all I have a lone pair in the central atom, I can have bond pair, lone pair repulsion. I have in ammonia. Ammonia I saw just now, so there is a lone pair. So I can have a repulsion between the lone pair on the nitrogen and the 3 sigma bonds I have. That is the electrons, isn't it? So bond pair is the first kind of interaction. Second is bond pair, lone pair repulsion. And the last one is lone pair repulsion. The last one is lone pair repulsion. Okay, so first we'll take down the statement for VSEPR. Please take down the statement. Right, please take down the statement. The shape of a molecule, the shape of the molecule should be in such a way that the electrons in the valence shell of the central atom, such that the electrons in the valence shell of the central atom suffers minimum repulsion, right? So the shape of a molecule should be in such a way that the electrons in the valence shell of the central atom should have or should suffer minimum repulsions. Okay, so you are going to take out the shape of these molecules in such a way that these kind of repulsions, that is bond pair, lone pair, all these repulsions are minimum. How will you make it minimum? Obviously, if I can take the electrons further away from each other, more and more away from each other, they will suffer less and less repulsion. If they're very close to each other, more repulsions. That is not correct. According to VSEPR, you should have minimum repulsion. So I have to make sure that these electrons are as far away from each other. Okay. So now let me take an example. We saw AB2, right? We saw CO2, BeCl2, all these examples we saw. So for these examples, what will be the shape? We'll see. Okay. So now, for example, if it is AB2, right? AB2, no lone pair. There's no lone pair. So the only kind of repulsions I can have is bond pair repulsions, isn't it? There are basically 2 bond pairs which are here. Okay. So with these two electrons have to make sure that they have minimum repulsion, right? So now, if you follow VSEPR, the maximum distance should exist between these two bonding atoms. And the only shape I can come up with is like this, isn't it? When the bond angle, or say when this angle is 180 degree, right? That is the maximum distance I can have between these two lone pairs. Between these two bond pairs. Say if I write it like this, they're a little closer. Or say if I write it like this, again they are a little closer. Right? So the only way by which I can have minimum repulsion in these kind of molecules is by having a structure like this. Right? So this shape is what is called as linear shape, straight line. Linear shaped molecule. So whenever you have AB2 type of molecule, no lone pairs, you can blindly say that the shape is going to be called as linear shape. And the bond angle. So remember, when I say bond angle, it should be bonding atom, central atom, bonding atom. That bond pair, that bond angle. Right? Bonding atom, central atom, bonding atom. So that bond angle will obviously be 180 degrees. So linear with a bond angle of 180 degrees. Okay, so this is just an introduction, guys. Don't worry. We'll see a lot of other examples. We'll see a lot of hybridization. We'll see what will be the shape according to VSEPR. All these in next class. Okay, so until then, be curious. Okay, break your head. What is this? What is happening and all that. So until then, guys, let's see. Bye.
Doubt.
Yeah.
It's not related to this, sir, but I have a doubt.
No problem.
Does Van der Waals radius come under this, sir?
Van der Waals radius? No, it doesn't come under this. Van der Waals radius is for what do you say? Normal radius, what we have in a molecule. That's generally what is called as Van der Waals radius. The atomic radius I have is what is called as Van der Waals radius. Or in other words, I can tell, if at all I go in depth and see, it is actually when I have, see, Van der Waals forces are universal. Actually, we'll speak about Van der Waals force in the secondary types of bonds. I told you the two types of bonds. These are primary bonds.
Yes, sir.
So at that time, we'll speak anyway. So I can just give you a gist that, see, Van der Waals forces are going to exist between similar atoms. Say I have 1000 sodium atoms. Between the two sodium atoms, any two of the sodium atoms, that what is that? The force of attraction is what is called as Van der Waals force. So basically, Van der Waals radius talks about how close the two sodium atoms can be. So are you able to understand?
Okay, yes, sir.
So basically, how close the sodium atoms can come together. That distance between the nuclei is what is
the
called
maximum, sir. Maximum distance.
Maximum distance. Minimum distance.
Or minimum distance.
If they come any more closer, repulsion will dominate. Are you able to understand?
Understood.
So minimum distance which can be there between two sodium atoms or any two atoms is what is called as your Van der Waals radius.
Understood, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Okay, guys. We'll see next class, right? So we have still more interesting things to come. Okay, until then, thank you. Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.